Rain lashed against the grimy windows of James' beat-up cab, blurring the neon chaos of Times Square into a kaleidoscope of fractured light. He squinted through the downpour, the bridge and tunnel tolls eating away at his already meager earnings. This late-night shift, a desperate attempt to make rent, was proving more trouble than it was worth. A figure materialized from the rain-soaked mist, a lone silhouette huddled beneath a flickering streetlight. James sighed, another fare for this godforsaken night. Pulling the curb in, he rolled down the window, a wave of damp air washing over him.
"Where to, buddy?"
James asked, his voice hoarse from hours of shouting over the city's relentless thrum. The figure remained shrouded in shadow, its voice a raspy whisper. "East River Park. But hurry." Something about the urgency sent a shiver down James's spine. East River Park was notoriously desolate after dark, a haven for addicts and worse. James hesitated, then shrugged. Rent wouldn't pay itself. The journey was a tense one. The passenger barely spoke. The only sound the rhythmic drumming of rain on the roof. As they neared the park, the sodium glow of streetlights thinned, replaced by an oppressive darkness. Trees, gnarled and skeletal, clawed at the sky, their branches scraping the side of the cab like skeletal fingers. "Here," the figure rasped, its voice barely audible over the howl of the wind whipping through the trees. James peered through the rearview mirror. The passenger remained obscured, a formless entity in the gloom. A primal fear gnawed at him, but the thought of a hefty fare spurred him on. Flicking on the dome light, James caught his breath. The figure was no longer human. Its skin was a sickly gray, stretched taut over exposed bone. Its eyes, two burning embers in the darkness, locked with his. Before James could scream, the creature lunged. His instincts kicked in. With a roar, James slammed on the gas, the tires squealing on the slick pavement as he careened out of the park, the creature a horrifying memory in the rearview mirror. Panic clawed at his throat. He had to get help, but where? He didn't dare stop, not in this desolate part of town. With a desperate hope, he steered towards the brightly lit avenue, the familiar grid of the city offering a semblance of comfort. He reached midtown, the towering skyscrapers reflecting the storm in a million glistening windows. Pulling over in front of a brightly lit 24-hour diner, he burst out of the cab, his heart hammering. Inside, the diner was a haven of warmth and greasy spoon comfort. A few patrons hunched over mugs of coffee, oblivious to the terror James carried. He rushed to the payphone, hands shaking as he dialed 911. "Help," he stammered, his voice hoarse. There was a monster in East River Park. The voice on the other end was curt, professional.
"Sir, there have been no reports of unusual activity in that area. Are you under the influence?"
James's pleas fell on deaf ears. Frustration and terror mingled in a bitter cocktail. Hanging up, he slumped into a booth, burying his head in his hands. As he sat there, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A man dressed in a tattered trench coat sat a few booths down, his face hidden in shadow. But the reflection in his coffee cup was not human. It was the creature from the park, its malevolent eyes gleaming back at him. James bolted. He ran out of the diner, the city a labyrinth of menacing shadows and flickering neon signs. Every alleyway, every doorway seemed to hold the creature waiting. He sprinted back towards his cab, hoping against hope it was still there. Relief washed over him as he climbed into the driver's seat, locking the doors with trembling hands. He glanced at the meter. The fare remained unpaid. A cold dread settled in his stomach. As he started the engine, a hand slammed onto the side window. It was the creature, its skeletal fingers drumming against the glass. James slammed the car in gear, tires screeching in protest. He weaved through traffic, a city becoming a blur of motion. He could hear the creature pounding on the roof, its raspy voice screaming in his ears. Then, silence. He dared a glance into the rearview mirror. It was gone. But the silence held a different kind of dread. It was the silence of something waiting, something that knew where he lived. He reached his apartment building, a dingy tenement in Hells.